My name is Geneva, and I am 54 years old. For the past 3 years, my quietest moments have been spent at a corner table in a little coffee shop called the Daily Grind. It was my ritual after losing my husband David. I would order one black coffee and sit for hours watching people come and go. It was my sanctuary. The baristas knew me. They would quietly bring me warm water refills without me asking. Everything changed when the new barista started, the one with the honey blonde hair, my daughter-in-law Chloe. Her smiles never reached her eyes when she served me. One morning, my card was declined due to a bank error. She said loudly, "Looks like the card declined. Maybe just stick to the free water refills today." The heat of shame crawled up my neck. I just nodded and returned to my seat. But as I looked around the worn but charming cafe, an idea began to form, not of revenge, but of possibility. Before I share what happened next, I am curious. Where are you joining me from today? Please let me know in the comments below. If you have ever felt small in a place you loved, you might understand what comes next. If stories about quiet strength and unexpected turns speak to you, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. Your support means the world and helps stories like this find their way to those who need to hear them. My house felt too large and too quiet after David was gone. Our son Daniel was my greatest comfort, but his new wife Chloe was a puzzle I could not solve. In the beginning, I tried so hard. I remembered her birthday with a beautiful silk scarf, which I never saw her wear. I praised her ambition, but slowly a chill settled in. Comments sprinkled into conversations like drops of ice water. "That car must be costing you a fortune in repairs, Geneva." Or, "This big house for one person must be such a burden to maintain." She spoke of my life as if it were a problem to be solved. The tension found its way to Daniel's dinner table one evening. Chloe was animated, talking about her new promotion at the Daily Grind. "I am the shift supervisor now," she announced, beaming. I felt a genuine swell of pride. "That is wonderful, Chloe. Congratulations." She turned that bright smile on me. "Thanks. It is nice to finally have a real career path, not just puttering around." The word hung in the air. Puttering. It described her view of my decades of building a home, supporting David's small business, volunteering. Daniel looked down at his plate, silent. The food turned to ash in my mouth. That night, in the profound silence of my bedroom, the hurt did not curdle into tears. It hardened into a cold, clear resolve. I went to David's old oak desk and opened the small wooden box where he kept our important papers. His voice seemed to echo from them. "Geneva," he would say, "the best investments are the ones everyone else overlooks." I spread out our statements. The life insurance payout, modest but carefully managed. The proceeds from selling his tiny equipment rental business. My own meager savings. It was not a fortune, but it was solid. It was enough. For the first time in years, I did not feel like a widow puttering around. I felt like my husband's partner again, looking at an overlooked opportunity. The next day, I returned to the Daily Grind, but not as a grieving widow. I came as a scout. I brought a small, unassuming notebook. I came at 7 in the morning and noted the line of construction workers getting their large coffees. I returned at 10 and watched the young mothers with strollers struggle to find seating. I sat at 3 in the afternoon and saw the wasted pastries being cleared away. I watched Chloe. I saw how she rolled her eyes at older customers who counted change, how she flirted with the younger ones who left bigger tips, how her laughter was a bit too loud with friends who visited her counter. I was not just watching my daughter-in-law. I was assessing an asset. A week into my reconnaissance, I chose a rainy Tuesday afternoon. The shop was nearly empty. Sam, the owner, a man with kind eyes and tired shoulders, was wiping down tables himself. I approached him. "Slow day," I remarked, offering a sympathetic smile. He sighed a sound that came from his bones. "They are all slow days and long days lately." We talked. I asked about the history of the cafe. He told me he had run it for 22 years, but his daughter had just had twins in another state. "I am missing it all," he said, his voice thick. "And this place, the roof, the espresso machine. It is a hungry beast." My heart beat a steady, purposeful rhythm. "Sam," I said gently, "what if someone could take that beast off your hands, let you go be a grandpa?" He looked at me, really looked at me for the first time. "You." I nodded. "I have some resources, and more than that, I have time. And I love what this place could be." We spoke for over an hour. I made a fair offer, mostly in cash, for a quick, clean sale. The relief on his face was palpable. We shook hands, a gentleman's agreement. "One condition, Sam," I said. "This stays between us until the papers are signed. For everyone's stability." He agreed. Walking out into the damp air, I felt a surge of energy I had not felt since David was alive. This was no longer about Chloe. This was about me. The legal process was underway, a silent undercurrent beneath my daily life. I had to sit through another painful family dinner, nodding, while Chloe talked about whipping the cafe staff into shape. The irony was a bitter taste on my tongue. Then one Wednesday, everything came to a head. I was at the daily grind, having my usual coffee. The muffin I had ordered was dry stale from the day before. I approached the counter where Chloe was snapping at a younger barista. I waited patiently. "Yes," she finally barked, not looking up from the register. "I am sorry, Chloe, but this muffin is quite dry. Would it be possible to exchange it?" She snatched it from my hand, tore off a piece, and made a show of tasting it. "Tastes fine to me." Then she leaned forward, her voice low, but sharp enough to cut through the quiet hum of the cafe. "You know what, Geneva? Maybe this place just is not for you. You come here every week, nursing one coffee for hours, complaining about prices. Some of us are trying to run a real business here. If you cannot afford to be a proper customer, maybe you should just stay home." The silence was instantaneous and absolute. Every conversation died. Every pair of eyes turned to us. I saw Sam freeze in the doorway to the back office, his face pale. In that suspended moment, a lifetime of slights, of condescending comments, of being made to feel small and irrelevant coalesced inside me. But it did not erupt. It crystallized into something unshakably calm. I looked directly into her eyes, my own clear and steady. My voice, when it came, was quiet, measured, and carried in the silent room. Thank you for your feedback, Chloe. I will certainly take that into consideration. I did not look away from her bewildered, angry face. Then I slowly turned my head and gave Sam a single, firm nod. The message was clear. Make it happen. Today. I did not slam the door on my way out. I closed it softly, and with that click, a chapter ended. The following Monday morning, the sale was final. I arrived at the daily grind an hour before opening. Sam had called a mandatory staff meeting. The air in the closed cafe was thick with the scent of old coffee grounds and anticipation. The staff, about 7 of them, including Chloe, stood in a semicircle looking curious and slightly anxious. Chloe was yawning, texting on her phone, oblivious. Sam cleared his throat. Good morning, everyone. I have an important announcement. As of today, I am retiring. It has been an honor. There were murmurs of surprise and a few genuine sounds of regret. But, Sam continued, the daily grind is in very good hands. Please join me in welcoming your new owner. He gestured to me. I stepped forward. Chloe's head snapped up from her phone. Her eyes darted from Sam to me, back to Sam. The confusion on her face was almost comical. Then, as the reality crashed down, the color drained from her cheeks, leaving her complexion a sickly, stark white. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. She looked like she had seen a ghost. Her ghost. Good morning, I said, my voice calm and carrying. My name is Geneva. As Sam said, this place means a great deal to me, and I am committed to its future and to yours. I made eye contact with each employee, saving Chloe for last. When my gaze finally settled on her, I offered a small professional smile, no different than the one I gave the others. The absence of malice in it, the sheer normalcy, seemed to terrify her more than any glare could have. We will have a brief meeting in 10 minutes to discuss a few immediate items and, more importantly, to hear from all of you. For now, please prepare for opening as usual. The staff scattered, whispering. Chloe stood frozen for another 10 seconds before mechanically moving toward the espresso machine, her hands trembling. The staff meeting was straightforward. I outlined my vision, a focus on community quality and respect. I announced a small but immediate increase in the base hourly wage and introduced an idea for a weekly staff suggested special, with a percentage of its sales going to the creator. The mood in the room shifted palpably from anxiety to cautious optimism. I saw the other baristas, the ones Chloe had snapped at, sit a little taller. The rest of the day I worked alongside them, learning the register, asking questions. I was neither a friend nor a tyrant. I was the owner. Chloe moved through her shift like an automaton, avoiding my gaze, speaking only when necessary. Her earlier bravado was gone, replaced by a profound, trembling shock. At the end of the day, after the others had left, I asked Chloe to join me in the small back office. She entered like someone walking to the gallows. Please sit, I said, taking the chair behind the desk. She perched on the edge of the guest chair, her spine rigid. I let the silence hang for a moment, not as a power play, but to let my words find the right weight. Chloe, I began, what you said to me last week, and the countless comments before it were more than rude. They were deeply hurtful. This cafe was my sanctuary after David died. It was one of the few places I felt peace. You deliberately took that from me. You tried to make me feel small and poor in a place I loved. I paused, watching her eyes fill not with anger, but with a dawning, horrible understanding. I did not buy this place to fire you. I bought it to take back my peace and to decide what kind of place this will be. So you have a choice. You can continue working here, but you will be on a 90-day probation. You will report directly to me and your performance, including your customer service attitude, will be evaluated against a new standard. Zero tolerance for disrespect. Alternatively, you can resign effective immediately, and I will provide you with a neutral letter of reference, stating only your dates of employment and position. Her composure shattered. She dropped her face into her hands, and heavy, silent sobs shook her shoulders. When she looked up, her mascara was smudged. I am so sorry, Geneva. I am so sorry. I did not. I never thought. It was the first genuine, unguarded thing I had ever heard her say. Chloe chose to resign. She told Daniel everything, and he came to see me. A storm of emotion on his face, anger at her guilt, at his own silence, fear for his marriage. We talked for hours on my porch. There were tears, his and mine. I told him I loved him, that my issue was never with his love for her, but with her cruelty toward me. I said I hoped they could work it out, but that my relationship with her would be distant for my own peace. He understood. It was a painful new beginning for us all. At the daily grind, I made small changes. I brought in a local baker for fresher pastries. I added a shelf of used books for people to borrow. I introduced a simple herbal tea blend that reminded me of my mother. The regulars returned and new faces appeared. The other employees blossomed under the fair treatment. The cafe began to hum with a warmth it had lacked before. I still sat at my corner table sometimes, but now I was watching over something I had built, not hiding from what I had lost. Healing is not a straight line. Some days the quiet of my house still echoed, but now I had a place to go where I was needed, where I had purpose. The anger toward Chloe softened not into friendship, but into a distant pity. She was young, and she had confused materialism with worth. I had learned the hard way that real worth is what you build, not what you buy. Letting go of the resentment was the final, most important part of purchasing my peace. The daily grind thrives. Daniel and I are careful and kind with each other, rebuilding something new. As for Chloe, I heard she took a job at a clothing store. I truly hope she finds what she is looking for. Me. I am just Geneva, 54 years old, sipping my coffee in my own cafe, finally understanding that sometimes the most powerful answer is not a shout, but a quiet, decisive action. And you know what? The coffee tastes better when you own the pot. If this story of quiet rebuilding resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Have you ever turned a moment of being underestimated into a new beginning for yourself? Please share your thoughts or a word of encouragement in the comments below. If you found value in this story, please give it a like. It helps more people find these conversations. Subscribe for more stories about resilience, family, and finding your strength later in life. And if you know someone who needs to hear that it is never too late to reclaim your peace, please share this with them. Thank you for listening and for being part of this community. May you always find the strength to build your own table wherever you are.